When we think about extraterrestrial life, it's usually, little green men, right? Creatures from another planet.
Yeah, the classic image.
Yeah, exactly. But what if we've had it wrong this whole time? Like, what if alien life is already here? Or at least right above us?
Here on Earth.
Yeah, and not even made of the stuff that we think of when we think of life.
No, that's an interesting thought, and it's one that's actually being considered more and more in scientific circles.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Because of what evidence?
Compelling evidence starting to come out.
Okay, so we're talking about plasmas.
Yes.
And this is based on observations from NASA's shuttle missions.
It is.
Published research. This is like the real deal.
This is the real deal. We're diving into a paper today from the Journal of Modern Physics. And it's causing quite a stir because it suggests that these plasmas that are found in the Earth's thermosphere might actually be showing signs of life.
Okay, so for those of us who maybe slept through high school chemistry, what exactly is plasma?
So you're probably familiar with the three basic states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas.
Yep.
Plasma is often referred to as the fourth state of matter, and it occurs when you heat a gas to such extreme temperatures that the atoms within that gas begin to lose some of their electrons.
Okay.
So this creates a sort of electrified gas, a soup of charged particles, if you will, that can conduct electricity and be influenced by magnetic fields.
So instead of like a happy neutral atom, you've got this chaotic dance of charged particles.
Exactly.
Zipping all over the place.
That's a great way to put it.
So it's kind of like
a mosh pit.
The mosh pit at a rock concert, but on an atomic level.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
Okay.
And just like a mosh pit needs a venue, plasmas need the right conditions to form. And that's where the thermosphere comes in.
Okay.
Which is a layer of our atmosphere that's hundreds of miles above the Earth's surface.
Wow.
And it's extremely hot up there.
Yeah.
And it's constantly bombarded by the sun's radiation,
Streams.
creating the perfect environment for these plasmas to form.
So it's not just any plasmas that we're talking about here.
No.
Astronauts have actually seen these things.
They have.
On shuttle missions.
On multiple missions.
And they've said that some of them are massive.
Huge.
Like up to 1 kilometer wide.
Yeah, you're talking about something that's bigger than the Burj Khalifa. The tallest building in the world just floating around in near-Earth space.
Wow, that's just unbelievable to even try to picture.
It is.
Something that big.
Yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around.
So it's not even just their size.
Right.
It's that they move in ways that almost seem intentional.
There have been reports of these plasmas change in shape, for instance.
Really?
There's actually one account of a plasma that looked like a metallic cloth.
Okay, that's not exactly what I picture when I picture alien life.
But it's not little green men.
No.
Yeah.
But, I'm willing to keep an open mind.
Sure.
So what makes them move in such a unique way?
We have to remember the thermosphere, while hot, is also incredibly thin.
Okay.
Much less dense than the air we breathe down here. So these plasmas have a lot more freedom to move around and interact.
It's almost like how you move differently underwater than on land.
And just as you might see a school of fish moving in unison, some astronauts have described seeing these plasmas forming distinct patterns, even leaving trails behind them as they move through the thermosphere.
It sounds like they're hunting.
Well...
Because they said hunter-predatory. Yeah.
It does sound like that. But we have to be careful about assigning intent to these movements.
Right.
We don't want to jump to conclusions based on limited observations.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
So what's a more accurate way to describe what they've actually seen?
So think of it more like this.
Okay.
They've seen these plasmas moving towards each other, sometimes overlapping, sometimes abruptly changing direction as if reacting to each other. It's this behavior, along with their ability to maintain distinct shapes and even collect space dust, which we'll get into, that really has scientists scratching their heads.
So we've got these gigantic glowing blobs of charged particles dancing around in the Earth's atmosphere.
Right.
Potentially interacting with each other.
Potentially.
That's really fascinating on its own. But how do we go from interesting atmospheric event to potential extraterrestrial life?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And to answer that, we need to talk about the possibility that plasmas could actually harbor the building blocks of life.
Whoa. Okay, let's unpack that.
Okay.
What could possibly make scientists even think that a plasma could support life?
Well, we know that plasmas attract and accumulate surrounding particles, kind of like a cosmic vacuum cleaner. And one of the things they've been found to collect is space dust.
Space dust?
Yeah. And this is where it gets interesting because space dust isn't just some inert material.
Right.
We've discovered that it can actually contain organic molecules.
Okay.
The very building blocks of life as we know it.
So you're saying these plasmas are potentially just full of the ingredients you'd need to make life.
That's what we're finding.
But how does a bunch of loose molecules suddenly decide to become alive?
Yeah.
Like, is there something inherent to the plasma itself that could make that leap possible?
Well, that's the heart of the mystery, isn't it?
It is a mystery.
It is. And this is where we kind of dive into the realm of cutting-edge research.
Okay.
And a little bit of speculation, I'll admit.
Okay.
But you see, inside these plasmas, under the right conditions, something remarkable can happen.
What?
These tiny electrically charged dust particles, the same ones that might contain those organic molecules we talked about,
Right.
they can actually start to arrange themselves into organized repeating patterns.
Wow.
And these structures are called plasma crystals.
Plasma crystal?
Yeah.
You're not just making this stuff up, are you?
I assure you, this is real science.
Okay.
These things exist.
That sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
It does have a kind of science fiction ring to it, doesn't it?
It does.
But these plasma crystals, they actually exhibit some really, really intriguing properties.
Like what? What makes them so special?
Well, for one, they can replicate.
Right.
Not in the same way that a biological organism does.
Right.
But when new particles are introduced into the plasma, they can actually attach themselves to these existing crystal structures and essentially grow them.
Okay.
And some scientists believe that they might even be capable of carrying information.
Really?
Much like DNA does for living organisms.
So you're saying that instead of a double helix, we could have like complex information encoded in these plasma crystal structures?
It's a possibility, and it really challenges our very definition of life as we know it.
Yeah, because that's a whole different way of thinking about how information could be stored.
Absolutely.
How it could be transmitted.
It really throws a wrench in our understanding of what life is. But now, I do want to be clear.
Okay.
This is all still very theoretical.
Right.
We're really just starting to scratch the surface of understanding plasma crystals and their potential. But the implications, as you can imagine, were extraordinary.
Extraordinary is an understatement.
Yeah.
This is like finding out that trees communicate through underground fungal networks.
That's a great analogy.
But like on a cosmic scale.
Exactly. It makes you wonder if something as seemingly simple as a plasma can exhibit these complex behaviors, what else might be possible in the vast expanse of the universe?
It's a little mind-blowing.
It is.
Okay, so we've got these plasmas potentially teeming with the building blocks of life.
Potentially.
Maybe even capable of forming structures that can store information.
Right.
Is mind-blowing stuff. But I have to ask, is there any way to connect this back to something a little more tangible? Have we ever seen anything that even remotely resembles these plasmas behaving in such a way?
That's a great question, and it leads us to some intriguing historical accounts and even some modern-day mysteries.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Are you familiar with the stories of Foo Fighters reported by pilots during World War II?
You mean those weird lights that seem to follow planes and make all sorts of crazy maneuvers? I always thought those were written off as like wartime hallucinations or something.
Well, some of them might have been,
right.
But many of those accounts describe something genuinely perplexing.
Yeah.
Pilots from both sides of the conflict reported seeing glowing orbs, sometimes red, sometimes orange, that would fly alongside their aircraft, often changing direction rapidly, seemingly defying the laws of physics as they knew them.
So you're thinking that these Foo Fighters might have actually been plasmas?
It's a possibility.
Wow.
It's certainly a possibility worth considering. The descriptions of their movement, their glow, even their reported ability to appear and disappear suddenly. These all align with what we know about plasmas and how they behave in the thermosphere.
So those World War II pilots might have been the first to glimpse this potential new form of life without even realizing it.
It's possible.
That's wild. And what about all the UFO sightings we hear about today? Could some of those be attributed to plasmas as well?
It's tempting to draw a straight line from Foo Fighters to modern-day UAPs,
right?
Unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yeah.
And while I don't want to discount any possibilities, we do have to remember that not every unexplained aerial sighting is going to be a plasma.
Right. We don't want to fall into that trap of thinking that everything we don't understand must be aliens.
Exactly.
Or in this case, plasma beings.
Right. There could be a number of explanations for these sightings.
Sure.
Ranging from atmospheric phenomena that we don't fully comprehend yet to advanced technologies we haven't even dreamt of.
Right.
However, the possibility that some of these UAPs could be plasmas.
Yeah.
Perhaps even exhibiting the same intriguing behaviors we've been discussing. It's certainly an avenue of research that warrants further investigation.
So even if we can't definitively say that every strange light in the sky is a plasma,
Right.
this research really does open up a whole new way of looking at the universe.
It does.
And our place in it.
It challenges our preconceived notions about what life is and where we might find it.
Yeah, and it's a powerful reminder, I think, that the universe is full of wonders that we are only beginning to understand.
We are just scratching the surface.
Yeah. It makes you wonder what other incredible discoveries are waiting to be uncovered right here in our own cosmic backyard.
I think about that all the time.
Me too.
Yeah.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
We've thrown a lot of information at you today, and I imagine you've got questions.
I'm sure.
So what are your thoughts so far? What really stands out to you about this idea of plasmas as a potential life form?
I think for me, it's the sheer elegance of it all.
Okay.
We're talking about a fundamental state of matter, something that makes up 99.9% of the visible universe,
Right.
potentially harboring the spark of life.
Wow.
If that's not enough to make you question everything you thought you knew, I don't know what is.
I'm with you on that. It's like we're trying to imagine a new color that we've never seen before. Like we have the basic idea that it's out there,
Yeah.
but wrapping our heads around what it actually looks like, how it behaves,
Yeah.
that's a whole other challenge.
It really highlights the limitations of our current understanding of life because we define it based on what we know.
Right.
Carbon-based life forms DNA, the need for water.
Right.
But what if those are just specific conditions for life as we know it here on Earth?
Yeah. It's like that saying, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Exactly.
And we're so used to looking for life that looks and acts like us
right.
that we might be completely missing these other possibilities.
And they could be right under our noses.
Right here in our own solar system.
Exactly. And think about the implications for a moment.
Yeah.
If these plasmas truly represent a different form of life, it means that life could arise in environments we previously thought impossible.
Wow.
Imagine the possibilities for finding life on other planets' moons.
Right.
Even in the vast interstellar spaces that we thought were completely barren.
It's like that feeling when you realize how much you don't know, and it's not even remotely daunting. It's exciting.
It is exciting.
Like the universe just got a whole lot bigger.
It did. It just got a whole lot bigger, and it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
what would it mean for us to actually encounter a life form that operates on completely different principles?
Right.
With a completely different evolutionary history? How would we even begin to communicate?
I mean, part of me hopes it's like that movie Arrival.
Yeah.
Where we like learn some profound universal language through complex mathematics or something.
That would be amazing.
But realistically, it's probably going to be a lot more complicated than that.
It almost certainly will be.
Yeah.
But even if we never achieve like direct communication,
Right.
imagine what we could learn just by observing them.
Right.
By studying their behavior, trying to decipher the rules that govern their existence.
It could completely revolutionize our understanding of physics biology.
Absolutely.
Maybe even consciousness itself.
Who knows? Maybe those breakthroughs are closer than we think.
That's what I'm saying. And this research is still in its early stages.
Very early.
There's so much more to learn.
This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Wow.
And that's what makes it all so incredibly exciting. We're on the cusp of a new era of scientific discovery, one where we have the potential to not only discover new forms of life,
Right.
but to redefine what we even mean by the word life itself.
It makes you want to go out and buy a really powerful telescope.
I know it.
Or at least just like stare up at the sky a little longer tonight.
Yeah, just take it all in.
Well, folks, we've thrown a lot at you today about plasmas and potential new life forms out there in the universe.
It's a lot to process.
And if you are as intrigued by all of this as we are, you can find more information, including photos of these plasmas captured by NASA, on our website.
Check it out.
And be sure to let us know your thoughts. Do you think that these plasmas could be a form of life? What other mysteries do you think the universe holds? Share your theories, your questions, your wildest ideas with us on social media. Until next time, keep exploring.